Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Account for Life podcast. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about winning the battle, really where it starts and where it begins. I discovered two principles that literally keep many of us from moving forward, from gaining freedom, from really getting to those places in life where we really want to thrive. Today, we want to discuss forgive and forget. And I had a question that was asked by my son just yesterday. And he asked me, Dad, well, how do you do it? And because he asked me that question, I said, you know what? Let's jump in and let's show how you can forgive and forget so that you can gain true freedom and win the battle, which is beating the enemy from within. Guys, if you missed last week's episode 1136, go back and listen to Winning the Battle Against the Enemy Within. That particular podcast has a lot of great principles in it. And we're thinking about doing a private workshop, maybe a 3-4 hour workshop on winning the battle within so that you can thrive and do all the things that you know you were called to do. If you're interested in something like that, definitely let me know so that I know who's looking to win the battle. So let's jump right into this. Son comes to me because got some news yesterday. I'm not going to share all that information here on this platform, but he came to me and it wasn't good news, and we'd had a long conversation about it, and I was giving him a lot of context to how I've gotten through things. 2025 has not been an easy one. I lost one of my first cousins on January the 7th. January the 5th. I was dropping my son off at Disney for his internship. We got a call. He died. Now, he was living with my parents, so he dies January 5th. Then January's crazy. February, Dad dies February the 6th. Mom dies February the 26th. So as you can imagine, life has really shown up in 2025 here in our family. And, he asked me, he says, well, how did you deal with that? Like, how was that even possible? Because that just seems hard. I said, it is. It's hard, right? Death is not easy. And what happens is, when we go through some of these things, these circumstances, this is a time where it's like instant growth. I told him, I said, man, this is growing time. Now, it wasn't always like that. Come on now. It was not always like that. I did not always feel that way. I didn't always think that way. But it was in 2013 when my brother was killed. That shock of death, man, that could have taken us out. I'm sure it affected my parents in a way, affected my brothers in a way, and it affected me in a way that's when I discovered what death was. It's growing season. Something dies, something grows. So here it is. He's asking me about, how do you do it? Like, how do you manage all this? I says, all right, let's go back. I'm not going to go too far back here, but I do want to get to these principles. But before we get to the principles, I do want to set it up because you got to understand that, this didn't happen overnight for me. Now, what I told him was this. I said, son, you have the luxury of hearing my story. You have the luxury of understanding where I'm at, but not fully understanding it because you didn't go through it. So for you won't have the same context. Now, if you do what I say, if you follow my lead, you can get through it. Now it's not gonna be easy, but if you do it, it'll happen for you. So the first thing we got to understand is that when we look at someone else's breakthrough, the problem that we're going to face is that, man, I can try and use what they did, but here I don't have the same breakthrough. I didn't have the same context. I didn't go through the same circumstances. It didn't happen at the same time. So now I have to take their word for it and then use our foundational principle. What is the foundational principle of this podcast? Faith. Foundational principle sitting on the back of my shirt as the first thing. Is on the back of my shirt, it says account for your life. And then right under account for life, it says faith, fitness and finance. But faith being the most important. This is not religion. This is not religion. This is not going to church. This isn't even about reading the Bible. See, because faith was not invented by reading the Bible. Bible is good. Bible helps us to understand principles. Bible teaches us a lot of lessons. Faith is what we all have on the inside. It's that full expectation that something's going to happen, whether it's good or bad. So by using faith, we're able to deal with situations that seem like we can't get through it. So I was saying to him that, all right, son, you just have to take my word for it so that you don't have to go through all the stuff that I went through. That's what coaching is about. When you get a coach, the coach is taking you the direction that they've already been so you don't have to go through the stuff they've gone through. This is about winning a battle, guys. See, because the thing about the battle is it's battle after battle after battle. You don't get to have one battle and the game is over. You got to battle your health. You got to battle your finances, battle of relationships. And there's battles going on all the time. And what's interesting about these battles is we have advisors. You know, it says in Proverbs, can't remember exactly the text, but it says, don't wage war without taking advice, without getting advice. And the thing about the advice that we get from the inside, a lot of times is coming from the wrong person. It's coming from the enemy. It's coming from the guy or gal that's that's looking for something that's not going to take us to freedom. It's not going to take us to, our destiny. Here's what it's looking for. It's looking for no pain. It's looking for security. It's looking for comfort. I can guarantee you there's no freedom without pain. There's no, you can't have comfortability without going through. Ain't no comfortability. Because the moment we get comfortable is the moment we're going to lose the battle. So I shared with him. I said, all right, son, the first thing I had to learn, we're going to get into these principles. The first thing I had to learn was I had to learn how to forgive myself. I'm going to stay on the death topic because this is where people get lost. When people die. Because with my brother, I hadn't spoken to my brother in a few months. Honestly, he died in September. I don't think I had spoken to him since July. Hadn't seen him since June because last time I saw him, we were at a funeral. I might have spoken to him in July. It may have been June, be honest. Hadn't spoken to him. He died September the 24th, 2013. I had to make a decision. Am I okay? So I had to forgive myself for not talking to him. See, because this inner battle that we have to deal with on a daily basis is kind of like, hey, yesterday I was supposed to do something. I didn't do it. You can kick yourself in the foot. Well, stop. You can kick yourself in the butt. You can do all kinds of things and yet still not move forward. So we have to learn how to forgive so that we can forget the past. I'll be honest. This is not 100% easy. It's not 100% easy because life keeps on life. See, because the thing about life, like this morning, as I was getting in the car to go to the gym, I just was reflecting on kind of like things that happened this week. I said, man, we are in life right now. We are living life right now. Things aren't necessarily easy. I'm constantly looking at, I'm, I'm, I'm constantly, looking at, all the stuff that needs to be done and where am I at and where am I going? And the enemy keeps showing up. The enemy keeps saying things like, you didn't do it yesterday and it's not going to happen today. I'm being honest, like, because the enemy is just like, you're tired, or, the enemy is saying things like, you're probably not going to figure it out. Just keep doing the thing that you've been doing. Keep doing the thing that you're comfortable doing. Don't go out on a limb and put yourself out there because then it's going to feel weird. Like the enemy is looking to keep us in a situation that it's comfortable with. So how do we beat this enemy? With these principles: forgive and forget. Here's how we beat them. Here's how we're going to beat the enemy. This year, 2025, it's May of 2025, May, and moving forward. Write a list. Think of a list. Look at all the things you said you were going to do. Because remember, and I'm going to do this for myself, I'm going to look at all the things I said I was going to do, and I'm going to go as far back as I can. I'm going to do this today, and I suggested we all do it. Make the list of all the things that you said you would do, all the accomplishment you wanted to accomplish by now, like not in the future, by now, 2025. We're going to look at that. And I have to look at every single one, and I have to forgive myself. I have to say to myself, I forgive me for not doing that stuff. I forgive me, right? Because it's got to get really clear as to where we're at. Got to be honest. Same thing I said to my son yesterday. We got to get honest about where we are in life. We got to get honest about how we got here. We've got to get honest about, the dream and the objectives that we actually have. And I told him, I said, son, everything that I focused on and stayed focused on, I got. Everything that I focused on and everything that I really expected to get and to have, I've gotten. So then the question is, well, what? Wow, I didn't get all these other things that I actually desired and really, 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 really would like to have. Why don't I have those things? Because I wasn't focused. So you forgive yourself. Then there's the power for forgetting. How do you forget? Like, this is coming out of the Word of God. The Word of God is like, hey, forget the past. Was that in Philippians 3? 12 through 14, something like that. Forget the past and press toward the mark. Press toward the mark, which is the high calling, which is Christ Jesus. So we're pressing toward the mark of a high calling. And in order to really, 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 really get there, Paul also says in Philippians 2:5 that we must take on the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. And how do we allow that mind? See, because when we think about the mind of Christ, we got to now take on that mind so that in the mind of Christ, we don't even remember. There's no way to remember the past. There's no way to focus on the past. There's no way to allow the past to take us, or take us back in time. There's no way, because when we're in the mind of Christ, we're pressing toward the high calling. We're looking forward to our future. We're focused in on our present and our now. What can I do now? How can I act now? Where am I going now? Like literally, it's all in the now. I said to my son, I says, it's now o'clock. Every time when you say, man, what time is it? It's now o'clock. What do I need to do now? See, because at the end of the day, it's not about what I didn't do in the past, and it's not what I'm going to do in the future. It's what can I do right now? See, because taking on the mind of Christ puts us in the position of forgetting everything. Literally. It's interesting because back in November, a friend of ours passed away, Peter Campbell, and me and my brother was asked to speak on our childhood together. And I had the roughest time remembering our time growing up, because it's almost like, what the heck was I doing? Like, why can't I remember? Because I remember taking on the mind of Christ and almost wanting to get rid of the past. Because anything that didn't serve me, I didn't want it anymore. So I can't remember a lot of things. I did wind up remembering something really special that he and I had together. We worked together for a summer. But that did not come. That memory didn't come literally until an hour before I had to talk. It's kind of wild. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't worried. I knew I had something to say. And it just like with the podcast, a lot of times I know I have something to say, and I don't always know how I'm going to say it. And it worked out that I was able to give this story. So in the mind of Christ, we get to forget all the stuff, man, unless it's going to serve us at some point. It's not going to serve us. Just let it go, right? So forgetting is taking on the mind of Christ and living in a way that all we're doing is focusing in on where we're going. And it's always now o'clock, right now. We're focused on now. We're not focused on the future, but right now. So what can I do today? What can I do in this hour? What am I doing this minute? And then what did I accomplish? Because at the end of the day, I hate when I think about what I did yesterday or what I did today. And at the end, I'm like, man, I did not accomplish the things that things I would love to accomplish more. And you ask yourself, why didn't I accomplish more? Focused. So when we're thinking about the principles of forgiving and then forgetting, to gain true freedom is going to require focus. Like pig-headed discipline, focus. Pig-headed. What does that even mean? Pig-headed discipline, focus. Pig-headed discipline is kind of like, you got to become arrogant. You got to become arrogant about the things that you've got to do. And then you got to become like a freight train, run over everything and everyone in your way in order to get to where you're going. I'm being honest here. Sometimes you got to run people over. They may not die. They ain't going to die from it. But you got to run them over, especially if they're in your way. Because we got to go around and go through them. Because a lot of times when you have a dream, when you have an objective in life, that's not the same objective that someone else has. Case in point, you get a text message, a phone call, an email. Think about these three mechanisms. You're sitting at your desk, you're doing something else. Your phone rings. You have a choice. I'm doing something. I'm in the middle of something and my phone is ringing, especially if I'm not expecting a call. I didn't say this is a scheduled call. What do? Do you answer the phone or do you work on and finish what you're working on? I had to learn this. I ignore the call. In fact, I turn my ringer off. So when they say, man, I called you, I didn't even hear the phone. I'm not lying. I didn't hear the phone. My phone is on silent. I can't hear that you called me. because I used to get the buzzing and the ringing would always, more calls, more texts. I'm doing something. So you got to drown out the noise in order to finish. Now, sometimes if you're waiting on a call, you're waiting on a text and answer. You get a text message, someone's like, hey, you didn't email, hey, I need this thing. I'm not even responding to email right now. So we got to realize that when we're doing something, when we're focusing on something, the goal is to finish. You see what I'm saying? Like forgive and forget comes first, right? Then we focus and we finish. Do you see how this is working? Before we can get focused, we got to forgive. We got to forget. Then we get focused on where we're going. And then we're living in now o'clock. We're doing everything right now. That's right. This training is for me too. This training right here is for me too. It's now o'clock today. It's not whatever time it is. It's now o'clock. What can I do right now? What have I been putting off? What do I need to finish? Because when I focus, I can focus in on getting something finished and accomplished. See, because the thing is, I'm going to get more into the freedom method next week. Because this is the beginning of the freedom method. Building freedom. I've taught these principles once already, but just kind of like as a whole, just kind of just laying them out. That's in podcast number. What podcast number? I can tell you what podcast number that is. Just so you know what podcast number, you can go back and actually catch what this freedom method is, because we're going to be going deep on that. That is that's podcast number 1135. Cost I paid to control my body. Want to check that out. Freedom methods in there. But today we're just focused in on really the first F. The first F in the freedom method is forget the past. Now, what I'm doing is I'm getting more framework around forgetting the past, because before we can forget, we got to forgive. And then we got to get focused. And then we got to focus on finishing. This is how we're going to win the battle, right? Because remember, you wrote down all the stuff. You see the battle in front of you. You see the battle. Man, these are all the things that I said I was going to do. Man, these are all the things that I wanted to do. These are all the things that would make my life better. Should I accomplish them? Wow, it's interesting. This is how we're going to win the battle. We're going to win the battle. Forgiving ourselves, forgetting the past, focusing so we can finish. See, because guys, really, at the end of the day, life is a series of battles. Life is a series of battles. We're going to have battles all the time. We're going to have a battle. You're going to have battle with your health, or someone else is going to have a battle with their health. You're going to have a battle with money and finances and just managing, managing your business or managing, your home. You have battle in relationships. You never know what's going to happen in relationships. You never know the circumstance that's going to show up in your relationships. So we have to be fully equipped to deal with winning the battle, because ain't nobody coming to save us from the battle. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't nobody coming to save me. So if no one's coming to save me, then I've got to get in there, put my boots on. I got to put my battle armor on. I have to get myself ready to win. So what did we learn today? Winning the battle begins with forgiveness. Forgive yourself. If you got to forgive someone else, definitely do that. We're focused in on ourselves today. Forgive yourself, because that's usually what's stopping many of us. Forget the past, right? We got to forget the past, because we have to take on As in order to forget the past, we got to take on the mind of Christ. We've got to set our sights on a compelling future that we can focus on, right? Because by focusing on it, then we can say to ourselves, I focus on it so much that I finished it. And then once I finish something, then I can go back and look and say, wow, look at what battle I just won. Right? Finishing puts us in a position to know what battle we just won. And then we just go back and fight a new battle. We're going to do the same process over and over and over. And what's going to happen? At some point, you will see the finish line. But the thing about the finish line that I have to warn you, it's going to continue to move. So there's going to be a finish line. Oh, man, I just made $100,000. Then there's another finish line. Oh, I just made $200,000. Oh, man, I just, man, my body just transformed. Oh, this is great. Oh, man, I just got married. The man of my dreams. So everything's going good. Just have kids. And like literally the finish line will continue to move over and over as our battles keep coming in. So every day we just got to wake up and say, where's my battle at? Let me go fight by focusing so that I can finish. So guys, this is how you begin to win your battles. Forgive yourself and forget, focus and finish. Guys, I praise you for joining me for another episode of the Account for Life podcast. If you got any value from this today, definitely let me know. Also, share this with someone else. Share our channel. Share the podcast station, wherever you're watching it. Let people know that there's a place where they can go to really gain more accountability about themselves, discover more personal leadership about themselves, and it's faith-based, helping people to really learn how to expect more. Learn how to become fit in every area of your life, because I know what you want. You would like to have more money. You would like to be wealthy. You would like to grow businesses or ministries. And so we use this podcast to set people up so that they can lead themselves. So guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Listen, come back next week. We're going to pick up on the freedom method, going into a couple more principles that we can share on how you can really attain true freedom in your life. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.